His Excellency Engineer Saeed bin Hamoud Al-Ma'wali, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and fellow aviation enthusiasts. A warm welcome to you all as we gather for this momentous occasion, the Airports Innovate Conference and Exhibition presented by Airports Council International and hosted by Oman Airports. Today we stand at the crossroads of a transformative era in innovation, where innovation is the driving force shaping the future of airports and air travel. As the MC today, my name is Hawra. I am honored to guide you through this insightful program. Today's theme is Dynamic Think Tank, Reveal the Future, and we will delve into the latest trends and advancements shaping the landscapes of airport operations, passenger experiences, and sustainability efforts. To kick off our event, we have the privilege of hearing from His Excellency Engineer Saeed bin Hamoud Al-Ma'wali, the Omani Minister of Transport, Communications, and Information Technology. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency.
Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and all distinguished guests. It gives me a great pleasure today to welcome you to the Sultanate of Oman, especially as we celebrate the 53rd National Day of the Oman Renaissance under the auspicious leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham. The Sultanate of Oman is currently undergoing a comprehensive rejuvenation across all fields, and the aviation sector represents one of these fields that have enjoyed the fruits of the past 53 years of development. This modern resurgence of Oman received a significant government attention due to Oman's strategies, location, and also the attention to the aviation sector to serve the purpose of allowing people, more people to come to Oman, out of Oman, and connect countries together. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sultanate of Oman has built several modern airports, such as the current airport you see in Muscat, the airport of Salalah, the airport of Dukum, equipped with latest technologies and high specifications. We look forward to further development at Sohar Airport and the establishment of a new airport in the Musandam governance in the near future. There is also a lot of development when it comes to the changes of short-haul aviations in Oman. That is coming in the near future as well. Today, we are witnessing a substantial increase in travel movement to, from, and through the Sultanate of Oman. We are almost at about 80% of pre-COVID, and it looks like very soon we will be back at back to the 2019 numbers. More or less, it's improving, especially when it comes to point-to-point travel, and that's really something that we are proud of. Esteemed attendees, all guests, Your Excellencies, your gathering today in the Sultanate of Oman is part of the continuous search for the development of innovation solutions to meet the challenge of this rapidly evolving sector. I've recently been to an airport in China. We needed no paper. This is the future. The future is coming when it comes to movement within airports, to and from, and seamless travel, focusing on the duration you spend in arriving, leaving, etc., and making the customer experience within these airports the most convenient experience. The Sultanate has recently launched the Oman Airport Innovation Lab and the Airhook towards this end, furthering innovation and supporting startups that contribute to the aviation and travel industry. All these initiatives align with the Oman Airport's international commitment to enhancing travel and connections between countries, and it's also aligned to the Oman Vision 2040. In conclusion of this welcoming speech, I extend my warmest greetings once more, and thank you very much for attending here. And I hope you have a delightful stay discovering the history, civilization, and culture of Oman. May this conference yield fruitful recommendations for the bright future of the aviation sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now invite you to immerse yourselves in the innovative spirit of Amman Airports through a video presentation.
With the beauty and authenticity of the welcoming land of Oman, we create a seamless experience to make every moment of your journey unique and exceptional, starting from the airport and ending with it. In an integrated experience full of innovation, technology, advanced systems, and highly qualified staff, through which we put your needs before our eyes around the clock. To fulfill the image of the perfect journey you have set in your mind. Here, at Amman Airports, where luxury and comfort are guaranteed through the various services, in which you can spend joyful times with a smart and easy shopping experience. Surrounded by art, tradition, and history. A marvelous, beautiful feeling for such an experience to be unique and memorable. We flourish and evolve here at Amman Airports.
What a captivating video, and subsequently we have the privilege of hearing from the CEO of the teams that have led the success of Amman Airports. Sheikh Ayman bin Ahmed Al Hosni, CEO of Amman Airports, Chair of ACI World Governing Boards, would like to extend a warm welcome to you all to the Airports Innovate Conference. Sheikh Ayman, please take the stage.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. صبحكم الله بالخير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد النبي الأمين. Dear Honorable Ministers, esteemed Excellencies, respected colleagues, dear friends, a warm welcome to all of you in this first Airport Innovate Conference 2023, jointly organized by ACI Asia Pacific and Middle East, ACI Europe, and ACI World. I'm really grateful for your presence, and I hope that you will enjoy this incredible event with the experience of the beauty of Oman. The ACI Innovate is conceived with the joyous occasion of Oman 53rd anniversary of our National Day. I'm wishing to this beloved nation continued prosperity, unity, and peace with celebrating this special moment in this month. Under His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq wise guidance, I extended a deep appreciation for his leadership, crucial on driving our nation to new heights and advancing Oman Vision 2040. I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation to our esteemed Minister of Transport and Communication, our Chairman of Oman Airports, His Excellency Saeed bin Hamoud bin Saeed Al Maouli, for his endless support. Without his strong commitment, this event would not happen. Today, as we come together among this distinguished gathering of visionaries, leaders, and esteemed guests of the aviation industry at Oman airports, we gather here in the coming 2 days to celebrate the innovative minds, reflecting the strong dedication of airport industry in shaping the future of air travel and airport excellence. Oman's rich history, maritime explore echoes through the evolution of today's Oman aviation and logistics sector. Centuries ago, Oman sailors fiercely charted path to bright cultures and facilitated global trade, laying the foundation of Oman's establishment and the international hub. Today, the aviation industry in Oman stands strong as a testament to the adventurous spirit, serving as a vital macroeconomic contributor connecting Oman to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, in my current role as a chairman of ACI World Governing Board and a CEO of Oman Airports, I invite you to fasten your seatbelts during this coming 2 days. Despite ongoing challenges in the aviation industry, the global recovery of passenger traffic signifies hope. The current projections of global passengers volume in 2023 is approximately 8.6 billion passengers, which is 94% of 2019 level. 2024 is expected to be a milestone for global passenger traffic recovery as it reaches 9.4 billion passengers, surpassing 2019 that reaches 9.2 billion passengers. In regards to regional recovery, Latin America Caribbean region is forecasted to be the first region to surpass its 2019 level, while Asia Pacific region is expected to have a substantial jump in passenger traffic along with the ongoing opening of the Chinese market. The Middle East region was the fastest recovery market in the 2022 and 23. The region is predicted to continue its recovery and reach almost 400 million passengers, or almost 97% of 2019 level. Recovery of the European region is expected to reach 95% of 2019 level, while Africa and North America are also not far behind to reaching full recovery this year. This steady progress is really giving the resilience of the aviation sector. The future of the global aviation industry is marked by innovation, resilience, and transformation change. Developments such as electric hybrid aircrafts and sustainable fuel solutions aim to revolutionize air travel, while the post-pandemic recovery drives a renewed focus on health, safety measures, AI intelligence, and sustainability shaping the industry path. The integration of the digitalization such as enhancing passenger experience and operational efficiencies, promises to redefine the way of interacting within our airports. Collaboration among industry, stakeholders, governments, and innovators will be crucial to fostering a future while the aviation ecosystem not only thrives but also contributes to a more connected, efficient, and environmentally consequent global community. At the heart of Oman Airport's communication, commitment, and innovation lies our newly established Innovation Lab. This innovation hub fosters stakeholders, collaboration, shared knowledge with digital partners, and funds technical startups. Another initiative we recently introduced includes the first Oman Airports Aero Hackathon, aimed to capitalize on external talents by providing a platform of fostering innovation airport-specific solutions. The AeroHack attracted over 700 of the finest aviation minds, pioneered more than 300 potential solutions in fields varying from customer experience, airport operations, automation, and sustainability. The AeroHack jury selected the most groundbreaking projects, particularly the highlights at innovative drone technology designed for runway rubber clearance, additional concept utilizing passenger footfall, energy, and introduced a comprehensive airport travel app, enhancing our customer experience. Oman Airports continues investment in digitalization, seeks to redefine the airport experience at our airports. Our vision is not just a technological upgrade, but a fundamental shift to how passengers navigate through our airports. In today's dynamic landscape, where technology, advancement, and transformation all industries, the significance of nurturing a well-being of our people cannot be overstated. And artificial intelligence continues to shape various job markets, including aviation. It is essential to recognize that the most vital and irreplaceable asset within our organization is our workforce. While technical skills are getting better and improved, the culvertization of empathy and emotional intelligence is becoming an increasingly mission-critical social skill. I strongly believe that investing in our personnel well-being is not solely but boosting our global competitiveness, but also about reinforcing the crucial human connections essential for Oman Airport's long-term success. I'm immensely proud of my team for the steps we have taken and path we shaped for the future of aviation sector in Oman. Muscat and Salalah Airport stands in the front line of excellence passenger service quality, being ranked in the top 10 of the global ASQ ratings. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I extend my sincere gratitude to the ACI team for their outstanding work in making the remarkable ACI Innovate conference a success in Muscat. I also want to express sincere appreciation to our shareholders, our chairman, the Minister of Transport and Communication, and our board of directors for their support and guidance. I would also like to thank our sponsors whose support has made this event possible. And once again, a warm welcome to each one of you in Oman. Let's harness the strength of unity as we elevate the aviation industry, surpassing boundaries and chasing innovation together at this amazing event. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, Sheikh Ayman. The future of airports is brimming with possibilities, and today we have the privilege of hearing from three distinguished industry experts who will delve into the specific areas where innovation is set to transform the airport landscape under the topic, Innovative Airports, Where to Next? We will start by hearing from Mr. Stefano Baronchi, Director General at ACI Asia Pacific and the Middle East, followed by Mr. Olivier Jankovic, Director General at ACI Europe, and last but not least, we will be hearing from Mr. Luis Felipe de Oliveira, Director General at ACI World. Gentlemen, please join me on stage.
Well, good morning, everybody, Honorable Minister, colleagues, friends. It is a pleasure to be here, and thanks again to the Oman Airports. Welcome, a warm welcome for this invitation. Now, I want to stress the fact that today we have 3 DGs of ACI, which is quite peculiar, I have to say. In over 20 years of events, this is the first time I have this privilege to be with my colleagues. And I wonder if anyone here may guess what a Brazilian, Luis Felipe de Oliveira, DG of ACI World, a French, Olivier Jankovic, DG of ACI Europe, and an Italian, and have in common when we speak about innovation. I'll tell you about that in a second, and then we will listen from them. But first of all, let me start by telling you a very short story. A month ago, I made a dream. And I was actually in a flight. It has just landed. And all of a sudden, when I was disembarking, the image of a flight attendant appeared in front of me. She escorted me through the airport up to the point of checking in the hotel. All of a sudden I wake up, and believe me, I was in a hotel room in New Zealand, in Christchurch. Of course, there was no trace of any flight attendant. But this is just to say that I wondered how far we are from making this experience real, how far we are from making this a scalable operational model. Now, I ask myself this, and probably since we have today experienced from people from Huawei, from Google, from Amazon, we will get an answer. But let me say that what we have today is something that is the end of a long process. Technological leaps over the last 150 years have been phenomenal. Already in the 60s, if you think about it, science fiction were describing disasters created by climate change. We're describing a very sophisticated artificial intelligence in books, even in movies, with impacts that sometimes were dreadful. And if you think about it, some of this has become real. We actually experience it in our daily life, despite the fact that we almost do not perceive it, since they remain opaque behind the scene. Innovation is a tool that helps humans to do things better, to increase value and drive growth in a sustainable, repeatable, and substantial manner. As important as innovation is, getting it right is very challenging. According to a survey by McKinsey, 80% of executives say that innovation is among the 3 top priorities, yet less than 10% are satisfied with their organization's innovation performance. Many established companies, including most of the airports, are better operators than innovators, producing few new game changers, but there are exceptions. We live in a very interconnected world where no airport is an island, where the airport community are like a virtual republic with stable locations but citizens in flux, which are driven by desire and by needs. In this ecosystem where the Constitution is spelled out in every ticket and your eyes are becoming your passport, your face are becoming your boarding pass, your address is your seat on the plane. And this same ecosystem also requires the interaction of several players with a high degree of communication and coordination. Therefore, transforming a new idea into an efficient process is often a result of a concerted effort to perform time-critical function in a highly regulated environment. And this is a strength, but can become a dreadful weakness in the system. Just think about what happened with COVID during the first year. Now, can you enter in your consumer mind, as in my dream? That was, in a certain manner, the aspiration of Steve Jobs, when he said, get closer than ever to your customer, so close to tell them what they need, well before they realize it themselves. And I would have certainly considered very persuasive, believe me, any recommendation from that virtual flight attendant in my dream. Not only is travel and hospitality the world's largest sectors, but it's actually one of the most intimate one. Driven by this mantra, last September, we rebranded ourselves as Asia Pacific and Middle East. And we earmarked our new value proposition, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with thousands of airport miles. This reiterates our position that everything we do boils down to one fundamental goal, helping our airports to make a happy guest experience. But every smile, think about it, is different. And it requires a huge effort to calculate a million of variables, something that artificial intelligence will increasingly help to do in combination with the human touch that is so important in this country. In a survey just concluded last week by Asia Pacific and Middle East, we asked 23 airport operators in Asia and the Middle East, located in 15 countries, their level of technological innovation. And what came out of this is the following: facial recognition, artificial intelligence, and the use of robotics at the terminal are already a reality in the majority of airports, including some in the Middle East. Incubation hubs, like in Muscat, are surprisingly widely spread, and so it is becoming 5G communication network. Only few airports have tested new technologies such as virtual queuing and blockchain at airports, but many more are ready to introduce it in the medium term. Metaverse, digital bags, and even the use of robotics in ground handling areas, on the contraries, are still the prerogative of a few, such as Hong Kong and Singapore, among the few ones. But most importantly, I think that these charts shows that within 3 years, all of the airports in Asia and the Middle East will have applied most of these technologies. And with this now I move from the east to the west, to Brussels and to Montreal. And I will start with Olivier Jankovec to get his view about Europe on innovation, Olivier, because I'd like to see, there are many opportunities there, but there are also challenges. Do you think that this framework is conducive in Europe to develop innovation? And if yes, what, in your opinion, a leader should prioritize to make the airport business successful?
Thank you, Stefano. Good morning, everybody. Minister, Your Excellencies, it's a pleasure to be in Oman. I'm not sure, Stefano, I can answer all your questions. I think I'll leave that actually to all the presentation and the speakers we have over the next 2 days. But what I'd like to do is maybe give you an overview of how innovation fits into the agenda of Europe's airports today, And if I could get the presentation on the screen, that would be fantastic. Seamlessly, hopefully.
So this is not a good example of innovation, but we'll try to say if we can come.
Hopefully we're getting there. Yes. So I think the title says it all. Innovation today is an imperative for airports in Europe, but I believe beyond Europe. It's an imperative considering where we stand today as an industry, but it's even more an imperative when we look at the future. And what I'd like to do is guide you through those two things, you know, how actually where we are today makes innovation an imperative, and look at indeed that future and how that future makes innovation indeed an imperative. So the departing point is where we are today as airports in Europe. Clearly we are transitioning from the recovery to a new normal. Looking at traffic figures, clearly last year was a turning point in the recovery with double passenger numbers compared to 21, which was very good. But still, we were still 21% below pre-pandemic levels, so still with some way to go into the recovery. On the financial side, of course, 50 billion in lost revenue for Europe's airports through COVID. Very big hit. But the good news is that last year we made it back to profit, 6.4 billion euro of profits for Europe's airports, which was very much needed. But at the same time, we continue to have a very heavy debt that built up over COVID. If you look at the debt of Europe's airports today, it's 43 billion euro higher than what it was pre-COVID, which means that moving forward, of course, an increasing share of our revenues will be used to service that debt. Looking at this year, Sheikh Hamid has said it already, we're getting very close to the pre-pandemic levels, and that's much needed. The EU Plus market, which includes the UK, but also Norway and Iceland, as of September, is at -4% compared to pre-COVID, and the rest of Europe is actually already exceeding pre-COVID numbers, so that's very good. But compared to previous recoveries, when we were hit by external shock, there are significant performance gaps in the European market, meaning that not all markets are recovering at the same time. And you can see here the delta between some airports which have been growing exponentially, doubling passenger numbers compared to pre-COVID, and some other markets that are still very below pre-COVID levels. That's a reflection of the impact of the war in Ukraine, which is impacting some markets in Europe, but which is boosting some others. And that's also a reflection of the specific recovery patterns we're going through, and I'll come back to that. Similarly, if we look at the different segments in the airport industry, from the majors, the top 5 European airports, down to the smaller airports, you can see that actually the smaller airports are performing better. They've been recovering faster than the bigger airports. And that's also linked to the specific recovery patterns, the fact that the recovery was driven a lot by intra-European traffic and leisure demand. And indeed, when you look at the majors, actually the only major European airport that has exceeded pre-pandemic traffic level is Istanbul Airport. Demand resilience, I think, is what characterizes traffic and the market at the moment. Consumer confidence has been trending upwards for more than a year, which is very good, defying inflation, defying higher fares, defying geopolitical pressures. But I think we are seeing a lot of downside risk for traffic. First, because the cost of living crisis we're in is hitting consumer sentiment now. Actually, for 3-4 months, consumer sentiment is trending downwards in Europe. And the Eurozone is on the brink of a recession, which we hope, if it materializes, that it's going to be mild. We have, of course, airlines being hurt by delays in getting new aircraft and spare parts, and it's very clear that it is going to continue to constrain the capacity they can put back into the market until 2025. We have the prospect of rising oil prices. We have also airlines which have changed their behavior. They're much more disciplined and careful in putting more capacity in the market. And of course, we have the risk of external shock with geopolitics. So when you look at all these clouds on the horizon, I think many are asking themselves, when will the current demand party end? well, we hope it will still go on for some time. And clearly what we see is that indeed next year, we will have recovered our pre-pandemic traffic levels, which is very good. But I think we need to look at how the market in Europe has changed for aviation, because clearly what we're seeing is that the patterns of this recovery are becoming structural. This is about the fact that demand has changed. Demand is very much driven today by leisure, VFR, and blended travel. This is really the driving force of the recovery. And to some extent, I think this is here to stay, because we're seeing changing consumption patterns. People are moving from material consumption to experiential consumption, which of course is very good for travel and for airports. At the same time, in Europe, demand is becoming greener, clearly, due to the environmental pressure, which means it's going to be more international and less domestic. And our traffic figures in recovery shows that very well. And this is where actually Europe is a bit set apart compared to the other world regions, where the recovery was very much driven by domestic traffic. Looking at business travel, this is also a major structural change. Business travel is still about 20% below where it was pre-pandemic. And this is linked to the fact that large corporates have set sustainability target that includes reduction of corporate travel. Looking ahead, we have also more dominance from certain airlines in Europe. That's very obvious when you look at the capacity deployed last summer by some carriers into the European market, especially ultra-low-cost carriers. You can see here Ryanair, Wizz Air, but also Turkish Airlines. These airlines have seized the opportunity of COVID to expand, to grow their market share. And conversely, the major network groups in Europe, Lufthansa, IAG, and Air France-KLM, are still structurally below in terms of the capacity they put in the market. We have similar patterns actually also for this winter. And when we look at the capacity into European airports from non-European airlines, I think again you can see exponential growth from low-cost carriers from the Middle East, whereas Chinese airlines were still below. But for this winter, the good news is that it seems the Chinese travelers will be back, and we're anxiously awaiting for them to be back at airports. Moving ahead, I think the ultra-low-cost carriers and Turkish Airlines are clearly gearing for more. This is obvious from their massive order of aircraft that is coming up. This is about lowering their unit cost, protecting their competitive edge. This is about demand stimulation, which of course we like very much as airports. And interestingly, when we look at Wizz Air, it is about pushing further the boundaries of the low-cost model. Wizz Air has become very active in the Middle East, and there are also ambitions to go even beyond. The same thing's coming from Turkish Airlines. This is an airline that has a massive order of aircraft coming up. And if you follow what they say about themselves, they say they're on a journey to the top of aviation. Meanwhile, Air France-KLM, Lufthansa, IAG have moved up market. They are not really chasing market share, but they are driving consolidation in Europe, which means that they are building their hubs as fortresses. All in all, we see that airlines have recovered their profitability. And I think if you look at what Bernstein says about Ryanair, that these airlines could yield to become a high-yielding cash machine, I think it's very obvious that the economics have changed for better for the airlines. At the same time, looking at connectivity, also we see structural changes. As ACI Europe, we release every year a report measuring the connectivity of Europe's airports. And what you can see is that if direct connectivity has recovered, indirect and hub connectivity is still very much below pre-pandemic levels, and that's also a major structural change. So if you take all these market dynamics for the aviation sector, what it means for airports is, of course, increasing competitive pressures. And we delivered last June a report with Frontier Economics that shows that very well. But beyond the aviation market, I think it's important we look at the bigger picture, the macro environment, because we all live in a new era where there is much more risk, where we are facing lots of crises. And that's obvious, of course, when you look at geopolitics and how security is driving increasingly the agenda for governments. That means changing globalization. We have more economic fragmentation, which down the line is not so good for aviation. and we have economic uncertainty and societal unrest. And last but not least, we have also climate change. I think the issue is no longer whether we can stop climate change. It's happening, it's there, it's how we are going to cope with it. And as the UN Secretary General says, we're indeed on thin ice. And if you look at the temperature anomalies for this year, I think there's indeed a lot to worry. So clearly, what's next in that overall context of the market and the macro risk for airports and aviation? Well, I think for us as European Airport, it's very clear. It's all about VUCA, which means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, which means that in Europe, certainly, we face the prospect of slower traffic growth, but also the very acute questions of our societal relevance. And for airports, that means two main challenges. The first one is, of course, decarbonization. Increasingly in Europe, this is no longer about earning our license to grow, but it's about keeping our license to operate. We have a major regulatory reset to decarbonize the aviation sector. ICAO has the long-term aspirational goal, of course, for net zero by 2050. And what these regulations and policy pressures will mean, it will mean higher costs for airlines, which will translate into lower demand, of course, for air transport. The second challenge we face is to reset our economic model against that reality. And for airports in Europe, that means we must be able to decouple our profitability for volume growth. Traditionally, the airport business model has been too much reliant and driven by volume growth. As we know, we'll get less volume growth in Europe. That's, of course, a challenge for us. And indeed, we see structural revenue pressures at play on Europe's airports. If you look at how airport charges have not been able to catch up with inflation, it's quite obvious, especially when you compare with how airfares have increased. And as well, we're facing structural cost increases, which means that down the line, our unit revenues will need to increase if we want to preserve our ability to invest. And I'm very worried that we're seeing already airports in Europe reducing their level of investment moving forward. So clearly, down the line, what we see for Europe's airports is an agenda for resilience and transformation, the need to move towards a new airport value creation model. And that new value creation model can only be based on three key strategic directions. These are sustainability, innovation, and diversification. And again, this is where innovation comes into play. Innovation is, Bill Gates says, the most powerful force for change in the world. Well, we believe it's going to be the most powerful force for change also in the airport sector, of course. And this is about resilience, operational and commercial performance, protecting and enhancing the competitiveness position of the airports. And of course, it's about leveraging digital, AI, and automation for better flows, for packs and bags, for predictive operations and maintenance, for breaking the operational silos on the ground. There's so much we can do there. In support of our concept of total airport management and in making sure that all operational stakeholders are truly aligned about improving the passenger experience. Of course, as ever, it's going to be about security and safety. Crucially, it's going to be about our sustainability and decarbonization agenda and about leveraging new business opportunities. And I think the interesting thing that we see in Europe, as we see it here in the Middle East, is that airports are moving from buying ready-made solutions on innovation to become really co-creators and investors. We have in Europe also a lot of airports that are creating their innovation labs. Most are here today and tomorrow with you. And as ACI Europe, this is something we want to support and bring together. That's the reason why we created an innovation forum last January. And actually the second meeting of that innovation forum took place yesterday here in Muscat. So again, I think what we're seeing is that Europe's airports are embracing those three key strategic directions: sustainability, innovation, diversification. And that's really about making sure airports continue to be global businesses providing value for all stakeholders. And as ACI Europe, we look forward to continue working with and for our airport members to continue on this agenda and take up this challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Let's continue now with getting the view from Montreal, from Luis Felipe, your perspective on innovation from a global view. Now, we heard from Europe, there is a lot that has to do with financing. There is a lot that has to do with objectives related to sustainability. There is a lot that have to do with shifting from being simply operators to become co-innovators with investors. The floor is yours. We are all ears.
Thank you, Stefano. Thank you, Olivier. It's so difficult to follow these two guys, but I will try to do my best to pass our message as a ACI award and, of course, to support this industry. First of all, I'd like to thank you, all the Omani friends, for the reception that they gave to us, and our chair as well, Sheikh Heyman, for the good hospitality. To answer your question, Stefano, I think I will start to talk a little bit about the perception of the use of technology to better serve our guests, our customers. There is no airline without an airport, there is no an airport without an airline, but there is no industry without a customer. That's why how we can use the innovation and how we can use the process to improve the services that you bring to our customers. Well, let's go ahead. First of all, I would like to talk with you that we are coming with a little bit more positive message. Globally speaking, in the last assembly that we had in Barcelona, we mentioned that our forecast for this year that you reach 92% of the pre-pandemic level, that's why 2019 level of passengers. Just in these few months from June, we already changed our forecast and you reach this year 94.2% of the global traffic. And that represents in different parts of the world a different path in terms of the recovery. I think my colleagues already mentioned what's going on in Europe, what's going on in Asia Pacific, and even Sheikh Heyman present a little bit of the global numbers. But for us, what is important to mention is that the forecast that we expect is the more positive one. And the growth that we expect will come. And we expect that the growth will continue to cope with the numbers that we have predicted a few years ago. It's interesting to see, but in 2020, we lost 20 years of this industry in 1 year. We lost more than a half of our industry in 1 year in terms of the passengers. And to recover that, we are doing quite well, considering the circumstances mentioned by Olivier, mentioned by Stefano, the circumstances that is linked with our financial difficulties to operate our airports. But we are very positive in terms of the future growth. And we expect that we'll double the size in the next 20 years. And to double the size is not simple as I mentioned. We have issues with the workforce, we have issues in terms of how we invest in our airports, and basically what you need to see for the future is that technology will play a key role. We won't have double the size of our airports. We need to use technology to better use them in terms of the infrastructure. We won't have the double of the employees as well. And basically, we need to use technology for the areas of the airport that the people can be replaced, and use as best as we can the people on the areas that you can better serve our guests. Well, one thing that was mentioned by Olivier is the importance of the decarbonization of the sector. And I'm very pleased that as an organization led by ACI Europe, we already have 550 airports adopting the air carbon accreditation. Basically, what we are doing is much before the pressure on the decarbonization start to come, we already started to working on that. And just to have an overview, we have 2,000 members around the world that represents 95% of the global traffic. More than a quarter of these members are already implementing process of decarbonization. It's a long way to go, but we are in the right direction. Together with the World Economic Forum, we launched a project that is called Airports of Tomorrow. Airports of Tomorrow is basically something that goes beyond what we do as an airports today. How we can move our airports from connecting people and connecting aircrafts to be energy hubs, to be part of this energy transition that will be very important for the transition to meet the net zero carbon emissions, but as well to reach the needs of the industry. Together with NACO and also 270, we launched a big project that is called Global ESG Reporting Framework for Airports. What that means, today we need financing. We need to find access to have the green finance for the future. And the ESG is a key element, and we are working through the regions and to the center or to the ACI to try to find a ways that how we can better reach financing for all members of our ACI. Airports are also embracing the digital transformation. Basically, airports are going digital. They are making journeys smooth. They are making journeys safe and more secure. We expect that the airports will invest in this year $6.8 billion in technology, and that is 93% more than we invest in the year before. That's why the investments are coming, because we really believe that the technology will play a key role. Well, I will play a quick video here. There is no sound?
We can sing if you want.
No problem at all. But basically, I prefer not. Despite of your Italian accent.
You are Brazilian.
I can dance, maybe. But basically, we launched the Technological Innovation Awards 4 years ago, and we had already several airports in the world that received this award. How we go? Thank you. I strongly suggest that the airports take the initiative to apply, to be recognized as airports as innovating around the world. In the future, we will link this opportunity to address the technological awards together with this conference that is very important for us. For the moment, this award is linked with our global conference and global assembly that we will do together with the ACI, Asia Pacific and Middle East in Riyadh from 21st to 23rd of May in Riyadh 2024. That's why I suggest and I encourage the airports to apply for this recognition. We also launched the global survey in this 4th edition, and we really expect that survey will bring good insights for you and good insights for the industry in terms of what our passengers are looking for. And I will give you one hint only, that is 56% of the respondents are planning to travel more within the next 3 months compared with the 51% last year. That's why the expectations that will grow are very true. As I mentioned, passenger needs to be first. Passengers need to be the center of our focus and our improvements. And technology, again, will play a key role. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for attending this forum.
So, just to conclude, thank you, Luis, come with me. And Olivier, I asked you before, at the beginning, what a Brazilian, an Italian, and a French have in common in terms of innovation. And I tell you now what my view is. We, the three of us, were born not in a digital world. We were born in an analog world. So our first recollection of what technology was probably toys made in China, made in Taiwan, made in Japan. And actually, I have still my collection in my apartment. My 2 children cannot touch it. But airports do not look in the past. They run fast towards the future. So enjoy with us, with Luis Felipe, with Olivier and me, Airports Innovate, and take advantage of this great event. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.